From broken chairs to barbed wire scars, from outlaw nights to fighting stars. They said it's trash, they said it's done, but legends rise where blood still runs. Not just the pain, not just the scars. Yeah, this ain't backyard, this is war. Beyond the junkyard, where the real ones fight, not foreign cars. Beyond the junkyard, no script, no mercy, leave your mark. Where the real ones fight, not foreign cars. Beyond the junkyard, no script, no mercy, leave your mark. Beyond the junkyard. This is wrestling without the filter. This is beyond the junkyard. This is wrestling without the filter. This is beyond the junkyard. Not just the pain, not just the scars. Yeah, this ain't backyard, this is war. Beyond the junkyard, where the real ones fight, not foreign cars. Beyond the junkyard, no script, no mercy, leave your mark. Beyond the junkyard, where the real ones fight, not foreign cars. Beyond the junkyard, no script, no mercy, leave your mark. Beyond the junkyard, 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 beyond the junkyard.
Well, welcome back to the Junkyard Media Group and another episode of the Beyond the Junkyard podcast. I'm your host, Junkyard James, but we got a special guest with us today. Making the podcast debut is Mini Marinara, Baby Marinara. I would ask how it's doing, but it would probably cry. As you can tell, it's probably going to cry. But welcome to the podcast, everyone. We got a pretty good episode for you this week. And so let's jump right into it. But first, we gotta give a big shout out to our friends over at W Energy, your taste buds' favorite energy drink. W is a powered energy drink that replaces those other inferior caffeine beverages. It's pretty simple. All you do, get you a glass of water, take you one scoop of W, dump it in, mix it up, and you got yourself an energy drink that contains zero maltodextrin, zero fillers, zero artificial colors and dyes, and none of those so-called proprietary blends. Just the science lab experiments that some of these companies put in their energy drinks. The star of the show is the coffee fruit extract, and it helps you have it helps you get energy and helps you focus without any of the side effects, the jitters, the crash, some of those things. And then they got a wide variety of flavors for you to try. And hey, we will help you out. If you go to w.gg and use the code Beyond the Yard, you can save 10% on your order. Go to w.gg, use the code Beyond the Yard, and enjoy your taste buds' new favorite energy drink. That's w.gg, code Beyond the Yard at checkout. All right, guys, we're going to jump right into a segment that we're calling Cut That Promo. The gist of it is basically we're taking what we used to call the mid-card meltdown. If you notice, it really wasn't in the middle of the show very often, so it usually was at the very beginning. This is going to be a fun time for us to cut a promo on something in the wrestling biz or maybe something in life, and just call it out and cut that promo. I'm gonna let my man Cody Marinara, if he is able, start us off. My friend, you have your child with you, so maybe you're not too agitated about the world, but it's your turn to cut that promo.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, everybody, Mr. Mini Marinara making his debut on the show tonight. Hopefully, he'll cooperate for just a couple minutes before we have to hand him off. But no, he will not cooperate. That's okay. He has a promo he wants to do. To be honest with you, that's what it is. He's got a promo. He hits himself. That's his promo. He's like a mini Mick Foley. So honestly, I mean, this whole talk about, and I know we'll talk about it a little bit later in the show, but TNA being a number 2 is they're not even. They may not even be a number 3. And like I said, I know we'll talk about it here a little bit later, but when you have one of your bigger pay-per-views of the year and you can only sell half of a rather small-ish arena, that's not a good sign. And I just that and these Saudi shows, man, I just can't get behind them. I know that Fed's making a bunch of money for him. TKO and Endeavor is making a bunch of money off of it. But yeah, I just not a fan of everything that's going on with it. But I think that if you're going to claim you're the number 2 company, maybe he wants to say it for me. I don't know. But if you're going to be the number 2 company, have metrics to back it up, and they don't, and I don't think they ever will. And TNA's got 9 lives, and I know that there's going to be a topic on the right side of the ring, but yeah, there's just a bunch of stuff that they're not even close to number 2, and that's all I got to say about that.
Man, you started talking about TNA and it made him a little upset. So, yeah, guys, that's a good one. All right, I'm gonna cut a promo on. I don't know. I haven't really settled down what I want to talk about, but I think I want to give some props to Tony Khan for just a minute here. We're not going to talk a whole lot about Tony Khan in general, but man, the guy has taken a positive approach to some of this negativity on at some of these other companies. I don't know if you watched any of his media scrum after the pay-per-view on Sunday night. I'm sure you didn't, because the pay-per-view didn't end till fucking 1:00 in the morning. So I'm sure nobody watched it live, but at least on the East Coast. But he was asked about All In being not just not just them putting a show against All In, putting 2 shows. I thought it was just one show. No, it's they're gonna have a NXT Heatwave and then a AAA show afterwards. So it's 2 shows to take the entirety of the time of All In at the end of August. And so, but Tony Khan was asked about it and he kind of took the high road. He's been doing that. So I got to give my props to Tony. He's not if this was a couple of years ago, Tony Khan would have taken the opportunity to throw a couple jabs. He just lets the product speak. And I think the product spoke pretty loudly with the reception of everything. NXT Great American Bash. We'll talk about their ratings a little bit later in the show, but it didn't do too hot. Slammiversary, I don't know, I didn't watch it. Didn't do too hot. And then you had Forbidden Door, for lack of a better term, hit on basically every cylinder that you could have asked for it. So, man, I got to give Tony Khan props that He's no longer letting them get to him. He lets his product do the talking for him. So props to Tony Khan there. Got to give him his props there. And all he has to do is fix the women's division, and I'll be completely satisfied with him. No, I'm just kidding. Queen Amanada should have won last night, by the way, Tony Khan. Anyways. All right, let's jump out of the promos and into a section I'm going to call Are You Sports Entertained? We're going to talk about some WWE and TNA here. We got a couple talking points from this weekend. You mentioned the Saudi shows. Well, the first match of the Saudi show last week, we saw Oba Femi beat Jey Uso for the King of the Ring finals. The stipulation for that match was you win the King of the Ring, you get a championship opportunity of your choosing at SummerSlam. So Oba Femi wins. We thought, okay, well, maybe he goes after Roman at SummerSlam. Maybe he goes after the WWE title. Maybe he goes after some other belt. But we were thinking, okay, we were going after Roman, and then we get to Monday night, and Oba Femi says, I don't want a championship match at SummerSlam. I want to fight Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. I have time. I have the ability to use my championship match whenever I want, basically. Which, again, was never the stipulation. It was you get a championship match at SummerSlam. That was the stipulation. It wasn't you get a championship match that you choose the place, time, and arena that you have it. It was you get a championship match at SummerSlam. What the fuck? Can you make this make sense to me, my friend?
No, I can't. Yeah, I don't have a plausible explanation for it at all. I mean, if this was different and it was like the Royal Rumble,
right?
Whatever, I can get behind it. I can get away with it. But the fact that you win a match, it's almost like the L1 tournament. We know the stipulation. Even though they have a pay-per-view in July, they're going to All In, the biggest show of the year, Wembley Stadium, and main eventing, going for a world title. Here, I mean, I think you had the explanation. Correct me if I'm wrong. What's the stipulation in the match that the winner goes to SummerSlam, or just they get a world title shot?
It was you get a title shot at SummerSlam.
Yeah. So unless you do a title change on Monday night somehow, and again, it just convolutes the entire of the story, but still, this should have happened at SummerSlam, the title match.
Right.
Now, I understand that there needs to be a third match between Lesnar and Femi. If that's the case, and you knew Oba was going to win it, put it for Survivor Series. Put it for whatever pay-per-view they have in September, if they have one.
Well, see, here's the thing. They could have easily. I think they're doing it backwards. I think I know where they're going. Because remember, SummerSlam is a 2-night show this year. I think I know where they're going. They're going. Eventually, Femi will take a title opportunity against probably Roman Reigns on one night, and then Brock on the other night. But they're setting up the storyline, in my opinion, backwards. They should have set the storyline of here's who I'm fighting. I'm making my decision on who I'm fighting at SummerSlam. And then that be the story. And then right before SummerSlam, have Brock attack him again and set up the two matches and 2 nights that I think they're trying to get to. I think they're doing this story all the way back. All the way backwards. Wavy D's in the chat. He wants to cut a promo real quick, but let's back up. He says, screw Celtics ownership. I don't know if you've seen over the past 24 hours, the Boston Celtics went from possible, playoff contender to who the fuck's going to play on their starting five? Paul George? Anyways. Yeah, I don't know. Does that make sense though that I think that's where they're going, but I think they're doing it backwards to set up the story for SummerSlam.
Yeah, 100%. It seems like they backed themselves into a corner, and now they're just trying to weasel the way around it in some way. And I feel that looking in general for WWE this past year has just been so wacky. Some of it hasn't been so bad. Quite a bit of it has been just I don't make sense of it. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. He even agrees with it as well. My son, yeah, you can hear him. Yeah, he doesn't understand it either. But yeah, I think that there's too much cooks in the kitchen, and if Paul Triple H is the sole guy, if he's the Vince role, to me he's just not doing a great job right now. I just feel like the stories just kind of intertwine with each other. It's a lot of weird, just I wouldn't say back and forth. It's like a topsy-turvy roller coaster. We're just going in some different directions. But again, we may say that Triple H is the head honcho and he's making the decisions, and publicly they can say that. They never have proven that they can intermingle into those plans real quick and at any time as well. So who's to say that at some point they're not, catering to the mass of their boss, meaning the creative room and Paul Levesque, Triple H in general. Yeah, it's just a whole bunch of just weirdness going on right now with creative, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Maybe the biggest one, and I put a video out there on the YouTube Reels and on TikTok and on the Instagram. Make sure you follow everywhere, Junkyard HQ on all social medias. But when this happened, I don't like the creative decision with this next move, but it was the easiest creative decision I think you could have ever predicted, being in Saudi Arabia and having the Syrian Islam guy who is a big fan of that religion, the religion of that area, and he's lauded as, to me, the golden boy of Saudi Arabia. It makes absolutely perfect sense that Sami Zayn won the WWE Championship over Cody Rhodes and Gunther, and the fact they made it a triple threat made it very easy to predict. And so Sami Zayn finally gets his WWE Championship opportunity, and I don't know. And on one hand, I think this is a good thing for WWE. At least it's not Cody or Gunther or Roman, holding all the belts like the past 3 years have been basically the same guys. At least you get a new fan favorite guy holding the belt for a period of time. And who knows? Maybe this is a good run. I'm willing to give it an opportunity here, but what's the story behind it? Like, what's going forward for Sami Zayn? Who could he possibly fight? Because it seems now that Gunther's going after Nick Aldis because he's pissed off that Nick Aldis added Sami Zayn into the match, and that he feels like he keeps screwing him out of the title. And so, where does that leave Cody? Where does that leave Sami? My biggest issue is they left us on Sunday night. They left the people that literally just watched the pay-per-views, which I want to honestly say might be the majority of their audience. I don't know if I can't think of a group a group of people that I know personally that sit through 3 hours of SmackDown and 2.5 to 3 hours of Raw every week. but I know they watch the pay-per-views. And so like I'm in this Discord, this separate Discord group, and basically 85% of that group have taken a hiatus from watching wrestling just because they're not AEW guys, and WWE it just sucks right now. Like the weekly television sucks. And they left the people that I feel like maybe the majority of their audience who literally just watch the pay-per-views, sorry, premium live events, they left them hanging, and they didn't really give them anything to lock them into the next pay-per-view on Sunday. And so what? Sammy gets his title reign, and it's going to last a couple months. And I don't know. To me, it feels kind of the same as when AEW gave Darby the title. Like, Cody's your guy. He makes the money for you. Like, why are you continuously stripping the title off of Cody just to give it back to him? Like, at some point, he might pass John Cena for most WWE championships, because he loses it and then gains it right back, and then loses it and gains it right back. Your thoughts on Sami Zayn as the WWE champion?
I mean, I think we all saw this coming eventually. I guess I'm a little surprised it took this long for it to happen, but it did. Um, and of course, it had to be in Saudi. There was no other. I mean, maybe Canada, but even then, it's a stretch. And I feel like if there was any place for him to win the belt, it had to be Saudi. Um, and if you had told me this maybe 5 years ago, maybe even 4 to 3 years ago, I think we would be happy for him in a way, especially after the whole um, honorary Uce stuff. Sammy had massive momentum, and if they had pulled the trigger then and let him have it for a couple months just to have a break in between Roman having the belts, I don't think
Right.
anybody would have been mad about that. I think people would have been happy about it. It would have been a feel-good story. It would have been great. But we
Right.
didn't. We didn't pull the trigger then. We waited 3, 4 years later. To me, Sammy's just kind of there. I don't really. I don't feel connected with his character at the moment. Um, Good for the Saudi crowd and for those that are supporters of Sami Zayn, but and of course, the boys in the back, boys and girls in the back are happy for him. He's been there for a while, and um, giving him his flowers, and that's great. But from a fan's perspective of the timing of it and the logistics of the reasoning behind it, I don't see any, and I don't really. To me, it's just like, okay, cool. You got the cheap pop. Now
Right.
what? Where's it gonna go?
Right.
And
So
I don't think it's gonna go anywhere meaningful, to be honest with you.
absolutely. No, I agree with you. And you did bring up a good point there that I didn't really quite think of until you mentioned it. But I feel like I was on this podcast when Sami Zayn had his match in Montreal against Roman Reigns for the belt. And I was very upset, saying this was they missed their opportunity to make the next babyface. And you were right. If Sami Zayn would have won that match, the trajectory of his, I think, career changes for the better, because now he's just this annoying guy that keeps complaining about never getting an opportunity to win the belt or whatever, right? But back then he had the fan support. I don't know if, like, obviously there's like the Sami Zayn fans who love Sami Zayn regardless of heel or face or whatever. But for the most part, not everybody is a super fan of Sami Zayn anymore. He had the whole world in his hands when he turned on Roman Reigns, and it would have been the greatest opportunity to make Sami Zayn a big name. And like it feels like it's been the story with WWE for the past 5 or so years. They're just late getting to what's sitting right in front of their eyes, because they're trying to chase. I don't know. Like, I got Roman had to get to 1,500 days or 2,500. I don't know how many days he has. I just know Athena's about 17 days away from passing Roman Reigns. Um, title reign. So I mean, I guess that's a good thing for ROH, right? And obviously, Tony Khan wants to be a little petty there and let her pass it. So, um, you're right. I mean, they had an opportunity to give Sammy the belt when he really had the fan support, but they missed, and now they're giving it to him now, and I feel like the support he would have had isn't there anymore. And so, all right, we move into TNA because they had a show as well this week. And ratings did okay, I guess. Well, not ratings. Attendance was, well, a couple thousand fans at the arena in Boston, and then they was it Boston? I can't. Yeah, at GS Arena or whatever I believe is where Slammiversary was. I've the Hardys won the tag belts. So that's a great thing to say for TNA, right? The Hardy Bros won the tag belts. And then their big return, you lose Steve Macklin, lose Tessa Blanchard, you lose Sami Callihan, and your big debut, Uha Nation. And look, I'm not saying, formerly known as, I can't remember his name, what was his name again? In WWE, I can't think of it right now off the top of my head.
Oh,
Apollo Crews,
not,
that's what it was.
yeah, there it is. Apollo. That's it.
Apollo Crews, the former Apollo Crews, Uha Nation, makes his debut in TNA. So you lose a lot of your top guys for a guy that's been a mid-carder his entire career. And then, if that wasn't the end of the story, you have your TV taping. I think either that Monday or Tuesday, and 600 people, somewhere around 600 people, had a ticket to this TV taping for TNA. They're in ROH numbers, like pre-Tony Khan ROH territory right now. I mean, I'm not even being facetious here. Like, this is a bit concerning for the wrestling industry. And you were right. TNA's not even the 2. They're not even the 3. You might have to say they're the 4 or the 5 right now. Because within the last couple weeks, well, AEW, they've been hitting their marks, but their stuff is now on. They got a fast channel on Amazon Prime, Tubi. You see MLW, I think, is working with New Japan Pro for their TV work deals. NWA is now on Tubi. And then I thought one other company got popped on Tubi as well for free. And so TNA is having an issue, and then the numbers are coming out that TNA's TV deal with AMC is worth like $10 million. So even after even with the TV deal, it sounds as if they're still losing money. Like the TV deal, yeah, great, they're on TV. The ratings aren't great. They're like 200,000 fans a week, and they're still losing money. And so it's bad meets evil. They're literally just setting up for the sell of the company right now. So I guess the question has to be, are we at or heading towards the end of total nonstop action?
It would be, yeah, pro if, like I mentioned earlier in the show, that Dark Side of the Ring is going to have a few, I think, a few episodes dedicated to TNA, and if they were to, have to close up shop anytime soon afterwards, it would be such a weird coincidental timing. As bad as it is, we kind of say we think TNA is not the number 2. They still are like the number 3. MLW has good momentum, but they're still only doing 3 to 4, maybe 500 people tops at their shows. They're only on YouTube. They don't have a TV deal. Most of their shows are doing between 40 and 100,000 people, which is not far behind TNA. But until MLW can be in a little bit bigger arenas, sell out shows consistently, maybe get a TV deal or bump up their YouTube numbers. You really, that's besides the point. For every time I mention TNA, he does not. He goes crazy. Um,
He's not a fan.
he's not a fan of TNA. I think that's a clear sign. Um, in a way, it's almost like, man, literally they had a partnership with WWE, and then WWE left them for dead, and it's almost like it was planned.
Oh yeah.
Kind of tell to see if TNA's 9 lives, get extended a few more, but I it's not looking good, and I don't know how they rebound. I mean, you look at their Russell Six put out a update today for Lockdown pay-per-view happening in August, a week before All In, so August 23rd. The arena that they're in has 8,000 seats in it, and so far they've only sold 1,500. 10, 12 years ago, when you mentioned the word lockdown, that's getting 4 to 6,000 people easily because it's a spectacle.
Yep.
And I don't know if they're going to do every match in a cage like they used to do with lockdown, or how that whole thing is going to work. That's just sad. That's just sad to see that we're not even breaking 2,000 fans yet, and we have 52 days to go. It's not, they could get 4 to 6,000 people in there. We'll see. But usually usually you get your bigger, the 2 biggest times to sell tickets is on sale and week of. And there's kind of a lull in between. For TNA, that lull in between is the worst time because your product is not doing good, and trying to sell another 4, maybe 3 to 4,000 tickets before the 23rd of August seems like it's going to be really hard to do. And that's really, really sad for their perspective. We'll kind of see what happens. Well, first of all, the cheapest ticket's $52.10. Why are we charging $50 for a TNA pay-per-view? We can go see a Dynamite for $29. We could probably, we saw a pay-per-view for $30, $35, $40, whatever it was.
Yep.
Why? Why would you do that? You need to lower those prices. You guys don't even have enough of a capability of a product to be selling $50 tickets right now as your cheapest ticket. That should be your most expensive ticket.
Right.
So evidently they're pricing people out, which is sad to say, but right now a lot's going against them. So I guess we'll just be kind of a wait and see to see what will happen with them.
Yep. Well, see, TNA had a show, Slammiversary, which I think they had that date marked well in advance. So I'm not going to say TNA was trying to lose viewership for AEW's Forbidden Door. One, because the time difference and all of that mess. So we'll give them a pass there. They at least didn't book it at the same time. Their other show that did book head to head against Forbidden Door, and that was NXT's Great American Bash. And the stipulation with this one was, this wasn't on pay-per-view. This was on television on the CW. So anybody that had the CW, which I believe is a lot of people, I think it's on free cable television. You don't need a cable subscription to get the CW most of the time. You had access to this show. Well, Dave Meltzer puts out the numbers for Great American Bash. 394,000 viewers. That's only about 70,000 viewers more than what the last episode of Collision did. And this is a pay-per-view on free television. And I know the NXT fans will be like, well, the goal was just to get people to not watch Forbidden Door. I'm going to promise you guys they watched both at the same time. I know many people that did. 394,000 views. There's no way for me in my right mind to justify that number as anything short of a failure for Great American Bash. Which again, like kind of like Lockdown, like when you heard Great American Bash in the early 2000s during the Attitude Era, like it wasn't like a SummerSlam, but it was still a pretty decent, like, oh, y'all ready for Great American Bash type thing? Like we're gonna get Mr. America out there to lead us into some big Americana, and now it's being used as the show to go head to head against an AEW pay per view because we just want them to have bad viewership. I promise you, more people watched AEW than the 394,000 people that watched Great American Bash. Your thoughts? Bad rating, good rating? Who cares?
I feel like I had a prediction as to what I think the total viewers should have been. Maybe it was for this show, maybe it was for a different show. I can't remember. But I would think that that's a failure. I think that they should have gotten 500,000 views at the minimum.
Right, that's what their show gets, and it was a Sunday.
Yeah.
Granted, you did have World Cup games, but that isn't. They weren't
I feel
alone in
though,
that. They weren't alone in that.
no,
So
but I feel if it was the US playing, that's different. Like I think Dynamite's numbers are going to be severely hurt because of the World Cup US game yesterday.
right,
But that's no excuse. It's just it is what it is. Um, but and the fact that this to me makes it even funny. And I understand that it was on the CW, so let's not say they put a paid show on their YouTube channel for free. But it seems like almost every other day, or a day or two after NXT airs on the CW, they put the full show on the YouTube. Which in
yep,
theory is not a bad idea because you can just go back and watch the show on YouTube. And why would I even need to watch it on Tuesday or in this case Sunday?
right,
But at the same time, that does kind of hurt your viewership a little bit when it comes to the rating portion of it. If these networks are looking at the rating portion of it, if you're going to put the show on YouTube, then why do we even have you on our network?
right,
Why are we blocking out the time and paying for you guys to have this show airing on our network when you're going to post it on and the CW's official YouTube post it? So I'm not going to say it's WWE solely, but I just feel that trajectory is a little weird when it comes to that. But
right.
I mean, again, it is what it is. I think it's weird that they do that. I mean, literally, it's a day or two after their show airs. It is on the CW Network's YouTube channel, which is weird to me.
Yeah, you would
I guess
think you would think their strategy would be, hey, download the CW app, and at least maybe if you're going to watch it video on demand, you watch it through the app so that we can feed our advertisers through the app. But you're
let that
giving it
factor into their rating and algorithm for sure. Same thing with
right, but
AEW and HBO Max. But
right. I mean, you're giving it to us. I have YouTube Premium, so that would be ad free. You're not getting any money from me.
no,
So
yep,
that I feel like that's just a poor business decision at the end of the day.
I do too. So yeah, I definitely feel that Great American Bash was a miss for number wise NXT. Um, and like you said, I mean, you go back into the 80s and 90s, the Great American Bash was one of the biggest pillar pay-per-views out there. Put that up there with Starrcade, put up there with WrestleMania. The Supercards in AWA, those were the events that people look forward to, at least in the summertime. That
Right.
was kind of the kickoff for the summer for most people was, hey, once the Great American Bash comes around, um, historical type of show, and even when WWE brought it back in the mid 2000s, it was cool. It was a great same thing. It kind of it was in June, I still believe, maybe July. So in that mid summertime frame, and had some good cards with the Great American Bash theme. But yeah, here recently it definitely has not lived up to that hype, and that name recognition.
Right. All right, let's transition to our last segment of the show. We saved the best for last. It's time for us to go into sicko mode. Let's talk about some AEW. We had a big event this weekend with Forbidden Door that I thought was well received by the fans and just an overall really good show. I still have to go back and watch Swerve versus Will Ospreay in its entirety because, like I said, the show didn't end. So I caught the intros. I think I caught the bell ringing, and then the next thing I remember, I heard Tony Schiavone screaming, and it was 12:55 a.m. and Will Ospreay had finally won the match. So Tony Khan decided to make what should have been a 4-hour pay-per-view a 5-hour pay-per-view. And yeah, so I got to go back and watch that match in its entirety. That's the only match I haven't watched, so I don't want to give my overall opinion on the show yet because haven't watched the whole show. But I've seen some of the clips of Ospreay, and I like where this is going. I like where they're going. So we talked about how earlier how it feels like WWE, some of their stories just kind of run together, and there's really no rhyme or reason for why they have these stories. The opening of last night's Dynamite. Oh, that Tony Khan is on a heater right now with the stories. I think AEW at this point in time, and I think Meltzer kind of agrees with me. This is the from some of the comments he said on his show with Alvarez a couple days ago. This might be the best Tony Khan has built stories for AEW in quite some time, like pre-Punk era story, like how good the stories are. I mean, the world title scene, you're seeing all of these pieces come together. The build up with Mercedes Moné and Maya World, I think they really did that really well, which made the match big, and I think they really outperformed, I think, expectations for that match. Do you agree? Is this the best? Well, two parts to this question. Is this the best storytelling AEW has done? And in response to that, is AEW currently the best company in pro wrestling at storytelling in this current moment?
I would probably say yes. I think so. There's a few different things going on. I am very much enjoying the fact that we have women's division, a whole different story. We'll get there. But I do appreciate the fact that our tag team division now has multiple stories going into it. And it's not just for the tag team belts. Obviously, that's what everyone wants to vie for. But you've got the Dogs, you've got Bullet Club Gold, obviously Cage and Cope. So I appreciate the fact that we're expanding the storyline book for the tag team division. It's not just solely for the tag team belts. The same with this world title thing. It's looking very juicy at the moment. While I'm not a big fan of what's going to take place next week, it is still the storyline between obviously the Death Riders and Osprey, and then Osprey and Omega, and then MJF Omega, MJF's Osprey. Swerve is in the mix as well. There is quite a bit of stuff that is going on that is compelling television for sure. The Osprey Omega Osprey Swerve match was very good. It may rival a great match, probably match of the night, match of the year candidate for sure. But as far as blood goes, it might be up there with Hangman and Swerve for sure. That was a lot of blood, and I was I was concerned as hell for a while. But a great match nonetheless. Definitely you need to watch it in its entirety. But yeah, I definitely think that so far right now, and truth be told, this is kind of when Tony Khan really starts putting his best foot forward. When we get to All In season, man, for whatever reason, rightfully so. It's the biggest show of the year, but man, he just gets on a whole nother level. It's
Right.
like he can go into overdrive. These stories are just getting more and more developed. They're building arcs. They're building meaning. Um, and yeah, so I'm definitely enjoying it. It's going to be interesting to see how we kind of get to redemption, and then coming out of it, redemption having a little over a month for All In, how we really start ramping up the storylines to go into All In. Still need to get some good ticket sales going, so I'm hoping that as we move toward redemption and move out of redemption, gearing towards All In, that the storylines not only catch up to viewers, but they also catch up to ticket goers, and people really start making efforts to and AEW as well puts more effort into the marketing and everything geared towards their biggest show of the year,
Right.
London, um, to fill up Wembley and make it a truly special night in just a couple months or a month and a half, really.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, and the stories go. This is how insane some of these stories go. Osprey joining the Death Riders is interesting because he's technically an IWGP Trios champion with United Empire. So here's this battle of which allegiance does Will Osprey really want, and Callum Newman is going. He's already, I don't know if you follow him on social media, but he responded and he said that Will Osprey is did he say he was a fraud or something? I don't know. And so there's some tensions within the United Empire and the Death Riders, and it's going to be fun. The fact that the stories intermingle with New Japan lore as well is great. And then the storytelling leading up to the Maya World and Mercedes Moné match. I know you said Osprey and Swerve was match of the night, and for good reason it may have been. To be completely honest, that entire show, like every match had a moment in it that was like, oh, maybe this is match of the night. Like Kenny versus Saber was like, was a good match, but it wasn't like you can't compare it Kenny versus Saber to Will versus Swerve because there was just two differently built matches. I thought the Death Door ladder match or cage match was fun. Kevin Knight probably ain't touching any backpacks for quite a while. But and then even the story with Leo Rush and Darby Allin both coming after Kevin Knight now for the TNT title. That's all fun and but Maya and Mercedes, again, I haven't watched the entirety of Swerve versus Osprey, so I'm not going to say definitively, but from what I have seen, I, one, this just reaffirms my belief that Mercedes Moné is the greatest women's wrestler of all time because that match was so freaking good, and I haven't seen if Meltzer has given his ratings yet for any of these matches. But if he gives it anything less than a 5-star, Dave, you're old. But I'm coming over to your house and I'm throwing shit at your window. Like it was such a good match. Um, man, Maya World is the future of the women's division, I think. And what's even more fun about it is I actually think the ramifications for Maya World, though she may not have the AEW World Title opportunity, with the vignette or the promo that Athena cut immediately after that match. Man, I think Maya World might be the one to take the ROH Women's Championship from her. Whether that be at the next pay-per-view, which I don't even know when that is, to be honest. Um, whether that be at Wembley Stadium, because Tony Khan's going to try to throw an ROH match in there somewhere, or somewhere in between. I think Maya World, like she's been doing a lot of the pay-per-view, the ROH stuff. So I think there's a good opportunity that she maybe is the one to dethrone Athena for the world champion, the ROH World Championship in the near future. Probably, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. And that might have been the best women's match AEW has ever had. And that's just my opinion. Yeah, people can have their opinions on that stuff. That was just such a fun match. And Mercedes, obviously, I'm biased about her. I think she's amazing. But, anyways, let's get to the big story in AEW. Kenny Omega fights MJF next week for the AEW Men's World Championship. And somehow, some way, MJF, does he have the same agent as Kirk Cousins? He somehow weaseled in another opportunity to make it so that Kenny Omega, if he loses, can never fight for the AEW Championship ever again. First off, there was a lot of mentioning of Cody Rhodes on the show last night, which was very weird given the fact that he just lost the WWE Championship. Cody's coming back at Wembley Stadium. No, I'm just kidding. I don't like the stipulation. I don't like it at all. I hate it. My original thought though this morning was, oh, okay, whatever. Kenny and MJF will just go to the 60-minute time limit. It'll be a draw. Kenny will say that he wants another opportunity, and then they'll make the match for the pay-per-view. And then I saw Dave Meltzer's reporting this afternoon that said the original plan for this match was for it to be Kenny Omega and MJF at Redemption. But for whatever reason, the creative decision was to have the match at Beach Break. I hope this is some sort of... I don't like it, because you set yourself up for failure either way this goes. If Kenny beats MJF on free television, we're back here next fucking week talking about how AEW keeps giving free fucking TV, title swaps, and it's just not a good look in my opinion. You could have done it at the pay-per-view. But if MJF beats Kenny Omega clean and there's no DQ and there's no time limit draw, then now Kenny Omega can never fight again for the belt. And that's not a good look. What does Kenny Omega is that the retirement of Kenny Omega if he loses next Wednesday? I think you set yourself in a really bad corner right here. My hope is that it goes to the time limit. And then they finally have their last match at Redemption. And I pray, at some point, I want Kenny Omega to win the belt. Because then when Kenny Omega wins the belt, I can hop on this channel, I can hop on this show, and I can pull back about 3 or 4 months ago when Redemption was first announced. And I made this prediction that at Wembley Stadium, it would be Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega, which I think is going to have a bigger stipulation than just for the world title. I think it's going to be championship versus career match. And if Ospreay wins, not only does he win the belt, he retires Kenny Omega. That's my prediction there. I'm sorry, spoiler. This is not a prediction, it's a spoiler. What are your thoughts on next week, MJF, Kenny Omega, the whole shebang with the world title?
We're back to this again.
Yep.
I feel like ever since I've made a mention of it earlier this year, it's almost been like, hey, let's just keep doing it so to piss Cody off as much as possible. Between the Darby Allin world title fiasco, the Cody and Drew fiasco, and now this. I would love to know between both companies how many world title. You can even put women's if you want to, but mostly just the men's side. How many world title matches we put on free television between our weekly shows? And let's compare that to every year. Now, nothing's going to outdo 2000 WCW Nitro. That's in a whole league of itself. But this is just getting beyond ridiculous. Why do we continuously have to have world title matches on free television? I don't understand it. You're literally diluting the entirety of world title matches to begin with. People pay to come see world champion fight and defend their title at pay-per-views, not solely at weekly shows. Now, selfishly, I hope MJF. To me, it's either going to go to a time limit draw or even a DQ. Somehow,
Right.
some way, I don't think they're going to get a clean finish out of this, and they're going to set up for redemption. Now, selfishly, I am still holding on to the MJF will keep the belt, and it's going to be Ospreay and MJF and that all in. That's just because I predicted that almost a year ago. I got the Ospreay part of it correct. The MJF part of it is 37 days or whatever it is away from being true, and
You're
more than likely it will not be.
You're 66.6% of the way there. You have Ospreay and you have the world title being the stipulation. You just need MJF.
And it's looking like it will not be. And I'm not so much mad about that. I think it just, to me, as a wrestling fan purist, the heel face works better, especially for the bigger shows. But obviously, since we've already had MJF and Omega at Wembley a couple years ago, having Ospreay and Omega is probably the bigger box office match.
Right.
And I'm not mad about that either. But I just sorely hope we do not get this world title away on free television next Wednesday. I don't care what we got to do, and I don't like the fact you do because you kind of, like you said, DK books himself in a corner of, do I give away another world title change for free on television, or I can't have go over Omega clean on free television? That just kind of makes him look weird. So logistically speaking, either Omega wins it clean, DQ, or a time limit draw, and there's no in between.
Right.
And it seems like that's a lot of options, and maybe it is, but at the same time, it's still like it still needs to look kind of good. So it doesn't just, if they do a rematch at Redemption, it doesn't look like I don't know, a piss poor attempt at just making it up. So I mean, I guess we'll see. It's still not a fan of world title matches on TV, especially how often we've been doing them this year. But Beach Break should be a fun show. And listen, let's just be happy for the fact that next week it truly will be a beach break. We're not going to be live from Cincinnati or Cleveland, Ohio, because that's what I think of a beach. When I think of the beach, I think of Cleveland or Cincinnati. They would be literally at an amphitheater, Clearwater, Florida, and that amphitheater is on the bank of a beach. So it's going to be great backdrops. It's going to be a great setting. It's going to look good on TV. It's going to just look incredible, make sense. So yeah,
Right.
I'm excited for that. Now next year we need to step it up and have it at Club La Vila like Nitro did it back in the spring of the mid '90s, or just go Bash at the Beach '94 or '93, '95. Excuse me, '95, and let's just have it on the beach. But
Absolutely.
I digress.
We got breaking news. Apparently, Collision was today. I forgot that
It was
Thursday.
tonight.
Next Saturday, live on.
So not 2 days, but 9 days.
Correct. Yes. The next episode of Collision, Saturday, the 11th of July. We have another World Championship match on free television. The ROH World Championship will be for grabs when Bandito fights Katsuyori Shibata on Collision. So make sure you tune in 9
Why?
days. I guess we got to watch Collision. I don't know. I totally forgot it was on a Thursday, to be completely honest with you.
Rock George Shibata was even a thing still, to be honest with you.
Is he still part of the? Is this the ops still a thing? They haven't shown him since Joe left. So.
I guess the ups are still a thing.
But yeah,
That's interesting. Okay.
We got Bandito versus Shibata in 9 days. Happy collisioning, I guess.
That's a collision for sure.
Alrighty, well, we'll end there. I ain't got nothing else. Well, I do have one more thing. I got to cut another promo on the weather. It's fucking hot. Golly. Can we please get some fucking rain or something good? I'm tired of going to bed and it's 90 fucking degrees when I go to sleep.
Listen, a week ago in the mountains near Yosemite National Park, there was a foot of snow.
Now there's wildfires in Utah, and it's 101 degrees in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Not fun. Just like Braves baseball right now. Not fun.
Yeah, we need the World Cup to end. Apparently, they brought the heat with them.
You're not kidding.
Look, it's not even
Thank God they have hydration breaks.
It's not even the hottest part of the summer yet, and it's already 101 degrees. I'm not looking forward to
Still
August.
got 2.5 months to go.
But yeah, we'll leave it there, and we'll let you say the final words as we close up for the America 250 weekend. Let's party it up, right? We'll let you have the final words.
Listen, guys, if there is any weekend to party hardy, mix and match your favorite sauces, it is this weekend. 250, America 250. Yeah. Again, if there's a weekend to party your heart out, it is this weekend. Be careful, stay safe. But yeah, for sure. You know, it's not even just because of whatever sports are on television, which to me doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of sports going on besides your typical NASCAR, your baseball. We do have some World Cup action, but we have to wait until Monday night when we bring a whole new meaning to Monday Night Football.
Monday Night Football.
Monday Night Football, where the Americans will look to avenge their 2014 FIFA World Cup loss to Belgium. That was not a red card, by the way, last night. I think we needed to do what George Washington did and storm the Chesapeake. We need to be doing that to the FIFA World Headquarters right now. Anyways, while it may be hot, stay hydrated, but definitely have some fun this weekend, y'all. Hopefully when we're coming back here next week, we're celebrating a round of 16 win for Team USA in the World Cup. But in general, we all should be celebrating 250 for America. Yeah, so with that being said, I hope you all stay safe, stay hydrated, party hardy, stay saucy, y'all.
This is wrestling without the filter.